Hello, this is a solution for the Hanayama Equa puzzle. I've solved a few different Hanayama puzzles, and I think that this is probably one of the more difficult ones that I've done. The puzzle is made up of an outer cage that has 6 bars on it, and an inner sphere that's made of 2 interlocking C-shaped pieces. The pieces inside each have a bump on the back end of the C that prevents them from rotating past the bars while the pieces are interlocked. So there's one there that can't rotate out of this section, and the one on the other side can't rotate out of this section. So the first part of the solution is to be able to figure out how to rotate the sphere within the bars. So generally you can take the opening of one of the inner parts and align it with a bar, and the opposite C-shaped piece will be lined up with the other bar, and then you can pull them apart. And in addition to being able to start on the solution, that's also useful because you can, when you pull the pieces apart, the bumps on each piece go inside a little bit. So if you can see, that allows you to rotate. So the bump is down here below the bar, and when I pull them apart, I'm able to rotate that bump above the bar. So using that method, you can move the piece, the inner part, around inside the cage to the right location. The other tricky part of the puzzle is that the bars are not all of the same thickness. And I played with this puzzle a long time, and you can kind of see that I was forcing things for a while and some of the paint chipped off. So that kind of helps me recognize the bars, to distinguish the bars from each other. But through trial and error, I discovered that one of the bars is thinner than the others, and that's this one here. And the puzzle has to use that bar for the solution. So the first step in the solution, there's the inner pieces are labeled differently. There's one of the inner pieces says, I don't know if you can see the wording on it, but it says Equa on one side and Hanayama on the other, and the other one is plain. It doesn't have any writing on it. But the plain one also has a little ridge along the opening on the gap there. So the first step is to take that gap, which in the C piece that has a ridge on it, and align that with the thin piece, or the thin bar, whichever one that is for you. And so I have to rotate these around a little bit. And think again. Okay. And so now I have my thin bar is here in front, and the piece with the ridge is lined up on that bar with the ridge above it. So the first step is the piece with the ridge again is the plain piece. So the first step is to pull them apart a little bit so that the plain piece comes out onto the front bar. And that allows you to rotate the Equa piece inside. And the first place that I rotate it to is up to the top right bar, and I put it on there. And the only reason that you really have to do that is because of the bump on that piece. So now that it's there, you can rotate the bump from the bottom sector into the back left sector, and that allows you to continue rotating the piece until it is also on the thin front bar. So now at this point you have both of the internal pieces rotated around so that their opening is around the front bar. From this point, it's possible, I try to lay the Equa piece a little bit flat so that the back part of it goes to the left and the front part of it goes to the right. Then I take the unmarked piece, and from here you're able to rotate it around the other piece like so, so that the gap comes around. So that's the first hard move to do. From there, you have to, I usually move the pieces both to the left a little bit and keeping the gap on the front one almost up against the left edge of that bar. And you rotate both of the pieces together so that this plain piece then goes on top of the bar and the Equa piece goes over the bar. From this point you can rotate the Equa piece further so that the little bump is on top, and now both gaps are past the bar and you can just lift it up and apart, and from there separating the rings is pretty easy, I think. And like so. So putting the pieces back together, you just have to do it in reverse. So you get the two C pieces into a sphere. You push them towards each other like this, and then look for the little ridge on the plain C piece, and you put that down in front, and then you rotate the other one so that its gap is behind it, also hanging down. And then you can take the two pieces together and lower them over make sure you use the thin bar on the outer cage, rotate them over there. And you can rotate the Equa piece around so that the gap is kind of just starting to come past the bar, and you rotate both pieces together so that it goes over the bar. So now the Equa piece is over the bar, and then you take the plain piece and rotate it around so that the gap is kind of just on the outside there, and you can kind of just fiddle with it and it should go right back over. So now both pieces are over the bar. Then take the Equa piece, push it back into the sphere a little bit, and put the gap onto the top, or the top right outer bar. And again, rotate the piece around so that the bump comes into the bottom front section opening of the cage, and continue rotating the piece around till it's in the back, and then you can push the pieces together and they're back together. So that is the solution for the Equa puzzle.